The Attorney-General has confirmed that new inquest will be held for the 48 victims of the 1981 Stardust fire tragedy. It follows a request last April from the families of the victims. For more on this, we're joined by Finian McGrath, Minister for Disabilities and, of course, TD for the Independent Alliance for the area in Dublin North Central, Northeast. Excuse me, Minister. Minister, your reaction to this news?
Good morning, first of all.
Morning.
Can I say that I welcome the decision by the Attorney-General, Seamus Wolfe, to accept the request for an inquest into the deaths of the persons who died in the Stardust tragedy. And I particularly, Shane, want to commend Seamus Wolfe and his team in the Attorney-General's office, because there was a huge volume of work that to go through over the last number of months. And I also want to thank the Taoiseach and the Minister for Justice for their support, because they listened to the families, they acted on it, and they acted in a clear and decisive way. And I'm glad that the families now have got their request for the inquest, because I think it's essential as well that we focus on the real story, that on the 14th of February 1981, 48 young people died, 128 were seriously injured, and most of these were between 18 and 25 years old. So I think it's essential that the families got their request for an inquest, and I want to express my support and solidarity for the families and to all the victims.
Okay, and at the third time of asking, I will get your constituency right. Dublin Bay North, of course, is your constituency. My apologies. My apologies for getting it wrong the first two times. Now, just you and I are both old enough to remember this horrific tragedy. Many of our listeners this morning won't, and they'll be kind of wondering why 38 years later we're only having an inquest now. There was an earlier inquest, obviously, at the time, but it has been deemed to have been unsatisfactory.
That's right, yeah. Well, essentially, we've had an inquest before. We've had the Coffey report, and more recently, we had the former Judge Pat McCartan's report. And all of them didn't come up with satisfactory recommendations from the family's point of view. So I was one of the people, Shane, that included Stardust in the programme for government. So within government, I kept campaigning for the families, and I asked the Attorney-General and the Taoiseach to support me, and both were very supportive. So that when the Attorney-General looked at the submissions made by the families, he felt that they had a case, and he felt that in the past there was insufficiency of inquiry into the tragedy up to now, and he felt that it was in the public interest to do so.
Okay, absolutely. Look, this is very much secondary to the fact that the inquest is going ahead, and that's going to be a huge release to the family. Yeah. But did you secure an agreement with the Taoiseach that there would be an inquest, or what commitment did he make to you when you entered government?
No, essentially, as you know, I've been campaigning in government for the last number of years on this particular issue. But basically, I asked the Taoiseach a number of months ago to meet the families, and the families sat down and met the Taoiseach. And the Taoiseach then, with the advice of the Attorney-General, said, listen, let's let an independent officer of the state, the Attorney-General, look at their further documentation details. So the Attorney-General spent the last number of months going through these detailed documents. His whole department were very, very busy over the summer, and at the end of it, they made an independent decision, independent of me, independent of the Taoiseach, to come along and have this inquest. So I think that from the family's point of view, it's great to see somebody, an independent person in the state, that made this decision in the interest of the family, because they deserve truth and justice.
Just very finally and briefly, if you can, Finian, what will the family, I mean, I know they're delighted at this news, what will they hope for from this inquest, do you think?
Well, I just think that the families have so many doubts about the cause of the fire and who is responsible, and it has changed over the last 20 or 30 years. And all they're doing is they want to get a clear decision on the cause of the fire, and they want to kind of deal with the tragic deaths of their children. And again, as I emphasise, we're talking about 48 young lives, 128 seriously injured, and they deserve truth, they deserve justice, and I think they will get this from the inquest. Okay,
thanks indeed for talking to us, Finian McGrath, Minister for Disabilities and Independent Alliance TD for Dublin Bay North. Thanks for talking to us.